Okay, so we're celebrating nursery education. This year marks 50 years of national nursery education in Guyana. So that's 5 decades of first steps, 5 decades of first words, finger painting, scraped knees, and aha moments for thousands of children. I was one of the first for that batch of early childhood nursery education in Guyana. So before 1976, if you were a parent in Guyana, early childhood options was hit or miss. Churches and NGOs did what they could because the demand was real. But there were more children than spaces and no shared standard for quality. Research from the time called it plainly. Services were varied or non-existent, and those that existed were often of low standard. In 1967, a conference was held in Barbados with UNICEF, Guyana, and 13 other Caribbean countries. UNICEF later called it a catalyst for transforming early childhood policies across the region. This conference didn't just diagnose the problem, it prescribed the response, integrated action through legislation, health, nutrition, early childhood education, and care. The 1970s showed data why this was urgent. Research documented by Davis, 1980, found female-headed households were up to 50%. Unemployment is as high as 60% among women. Malnutrition was high as 40%. Only 1 in 4 children could have access to daycares. 1976, nursery education became national. For the first time, the government said, early childhood is our job. Not NGOs, not churches, not just parents who could pay, it's ours. 3 things changed overnight. First, structure. We moved from very low standard care to national curriculum. Play became policy. Social and emotional development sat alongside letters and numbers. Second, we had quality. Teacher training started. There were no standards for who stood in front of the 3 and 4-year-old. Custodial care was out. Early childhood education was in. Third, access. Nursery schools were free and public. A child from Buxton, Bartica, or Blackbush Polder had the same right to start learning as a child in Georgetown. Teacher training and setting standards. The government said yes, nursery education is now our responsibility. But the promise needs people and standards to become real. Colleagues, I have a short video here for you. Colleagues, we speak of standards in nursery education. We speak Miss Florence Sugdin. may God rest her soul. She was not just a trainer. She is the architect of how we train. Today we honor a culturally grounded pioneer and resourceful architect of Guyana's nursery education. After the 1976 decision to nationalize nursery education, we had buildings, but we needed pedagogy. With UNICEF support, Ms. Subdio led the first structured teacher training. She personally trained 25 nursery education leaders that we call NELs, who then trained hundreds across the region. In 1980, her vision shaped the CPC, Cerro Porter College of Education, nursery program. That same commitment drove the development of our national nursery curriculum. Ms. Subdio's greatest gift was her belief in what she called indigenous materials. She insisted that children should learn with coconut shells, calabash, seeds from the background, stories from their village, where they could have made a connection from their home to their school. She transformed classrooms from imported charts into rich, culturally grounded spaces where children saw themselves. Then in 1980, it became permanent. CPC, Cerro Porter College Teachers Training College, started the in-service nursery training program. And almost importantly, a national nursery curriculum was developed. For the first time, every teacher from quarantine to charity had the same guide for what early learning should look like. First, then we had 1980 to 2000 expansion under pressure. First, the University of Guyana launched a Bachelor of Education and a 2-year certificate program. That was done in 1991. This told the country nursery teaching is a profession and deserves a degree. Second, our international partners deepened our commitment. UNICEF, UNESCO, CEDA, Caribbean Development Bank through BNTF, the EEC, and CIMAC funded consultants, training, infrastructure, materials, and school feeding. Their support made expansion possible. We must acknowledge the reality of this era. The 1980s and 90s was significant to teacher migration. Due to low salaries, low remuneration in the public sector, combined and broader economic and political factors. But we built capacity and we almost lost some of it. That lessons shape how we approach teacher retention today. Then we have some national development. So we have first access and infrastructure. I'll go briefly through. Without quality, it's not access. This slide shows how Guyana moved from simply providing nursery spaces to building developmentally appropriate environments for every child. Today, purpose-built nursery facilities serve in hinterland, riverine, and coastland regions. These spaces designed specifically for 3 to 5-year-old, child-sized furniture, defined learning corners, age-appropriate sanitization, and safe designated play. The building is no longer the goal end, the learning that happens in it. Infrastructure was aligned with minimum standards, but like Dr. Michelle McBean mentioned earlier, the spaces are there, but it's learning taking place. And it's the space a happy space. Right? Then we have quality and curriculum reform. For 48 years, we delivered nursery education using the framework established in 1976. In 2018, the Ministry of Education and UNICEF jointly commissioned an evaluation of the nursery education program. They used a mixed method approach of qualitative and quantitative research, classroom observation, teacher interview, parent surveys, and learning outcome data to assess not only access but quality. One of the findings from that joint UNICEF and ministry evaluation directly informed the development of a new curriculum. To ensure play-based learning is a central pedagogy of Guyana nursery curriculum. In 2004, the Ministry of Education completed the first comprehensive national renewal for nursery curriculum. The new curriculum recognizes how 3 to 5-year-olds actually learn through play in contexts that reflect Guyana culture, building competencies, not just memorizing. The renewed curriculum 2024 was developed in partnership with Minds Bloom specialists and Guyanese writers to ensure it reflects our cultural diversity and national priorities mandated by Article 27 of the Constitution of Guyana. We also recognize the redesigned assessments. Teachers now use continuous observation because children's development cannot be captured in a one-time test. This aligns with the curriculum's best practices. In addition to that, another national achievement that we have is our school support cash grant. Triannually, teachers receive a cash grant as per the number of children in their classroom. They receive $4,000 per child to purchase learning resource materials to enhance the teaching learning process. Nursery enrollment. We have a coverage of 91% attendance in our government schools based on the information received from Bureau standards. The number of births that we have gotten from 2021 to 2022 reveal that we have 91% of those children in our nursery schools. Other 10% is in our private schools. So we have a 100% enrollment in nursery. Targeted snacks. In our nursery education program, we have Coastal Riverine and Hinterland. All our children are provided with a meal per day. So we have breakfast program, we either have hot meals for some persons or we have juice and biscuits. We're not going to go into details because I just was sick. Now we have our trained teachers. In 2003, according to our planning unit of the Ministry of Education, we had 47% of our teachers were trained. 2026, it revealed that we have 89% trained teacher in our classrooms. It's a great accomplishment. Moving from 47% to 89% trained teacher means 9 out of 10 of our children now learn by a qualified professional. Approximately 1,000 educators graduated from the University of Guyana between the time frame 2007 to 2025, either with a Bachelor of Education in Administration or a Bachelor of Education in Nursery or Early Childhood General. The university is presently working to develop a database to give us more information in the future. And another national achievement we have is our Because We Care cash grant. Each child receives annually, and that distribution commences in June, a total of $85,000 per child. So colleagues, Guyana ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1991. Article 28 guarantees the right to education Article 27 requires the state to assist parents in fulfilling that right. Because We Care Cash Grant in Guyana is putting those obligations into action. We are not just signatories, we are implementers. By giving direct support to families, we ensure that poverty does not deny a child their right to education. The grant is unconditional because it shows family knows the needs of their children. Then we have another national development. This slide summarizes the legal foundation. Mind you, nursery education is not compulsory in Guyana, but the Education Act, the legal framework for nursery school, Article 27 of the Convention of the Constitution mandates free education from nursery to university. Internationally, we are bound by the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child, the SDG 4.2, which requires quality pre-primary education for all. We are honoring all those. So I'll skip this part and I'll go into just briefly 3 recommendations that this research had found from this research. Implement school-based coaching for differentiated instruction. We have trained graduates in our classrooms, but sometimes I don't think they understand how to really engage the needs of our children. Right? So that is one. Then we have number 2, building teachers' expertise in designing creativity and child-led learning in nursery. And my 3rd recommendation is to launch Play to Learn Guyana Parent Support Initiative, where we are going to send WhatsApp messages, SMS messages to the hinterland who do not have access to internet. We're going to train parents on how to engage the children even when they're doing laundry. How to have conversations with the
It doesn't
children.
work. We tried. The US tried to do that. It doesn't work.
So this brings me to the end of my presentation.